Hello again guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are back for another top 100 landing challenge attempt. This time, as you can see, we're in the 747-8, headed in towards Dusseldorf. This challenge released of course as part of World Update 6, so I thought it'd be a nice opportunity to give it a go. We also haven't flown any heavy metal on the channel for quite some time, so I thought we'd rectify that as well. I have to say though, I didn't really enjoy this landing challenge. It was a real trial and tribulation to get through. The default 747 handling very strangely on the ground, particularly with regards to rudder input. This made the challenge rather frustrating, and it also made getting a decent ground roll score quite difficult. Anyway, nonetheless, hopefully it makes for a slightly interesting approach. As always, I do hope you enjoy the video. If you do, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. Let's now head for the cockpit of the 747-8 and begin our approach onto runway 23 left. So hello and welcome to the flight deck once again of the 747-8. As you can see, we're on a bit of a right hand base leg here at the moment for runway 23 left, headed in towards Dusseldorf on this rather beautiful evening. We're maintaining about 200 knots at the moment. We'll let the speed slowly roll back to about 180 knots. Currently at 2,500 feet, although we want to keep that altitude coming down, so we'll just pitch the nose down slightly. We'll arm up these spoilers and we'll take another stage of flap. So the flap's now rolling out to 20 degrees. For the challenge, I've opted not to use the auto brake. It doesn't really make too much of a difference, but I found that, again, the ground handling in the aircraft is very odd, so I'd rather just be able to manually brake and have a bit more directional control there on the brakes at the same time. Anyway, speed coming back now with the flaps rolling out, so we're doing about 170 knots, which is fine. And keeping the aircraft coming down about 500 feet a minute. We just want to increase that rate of descent slightly, back to around 700 feet per minute. Just come overhead the outer marker at the moment. And we'll take another stage of flap, so there's flaps 25. As you can see, we've got quite a crosswind out from the right at the moment, a 26 knot wind there from about 300 degrees, so about 60 degrees off the nose. And taking the final stage of flap, so the flaps rolling out to flaps 30. We'll let the speed roll back to around 160 knots now, maintain that until we're fairly close to the runway threshold. The challenge recommends maintaining 140 knots on final approach. I like to take just a little bit of extra speed. I find that helps with the flare in the default 747. Looking pretty reasonable on the profile at the moment. I think we've got 3 whites and 1 red looking at the PAPI. A little bit tricky to make out from this distance. And just coming through 1,300 feet. Everything's configured. So that's checked, we've got the gear down, we've got full flaps, spoilers are armed. And again, 3 whites, 1 red on the PAPI. So just continuing that rate of descent, we'll try and get back onto the profile. If anything, it actually pays to be slightly low on the profile for most of these landing challenges in the heavy jets. That just gives you a little bit more distance for the flare. You tend to touch down quite nicely in the touchdown zone. So back on the profile now, 2 reds, 2 whites, just coming over the motorway at the moment. Speed's back at 145, so we want to keep it around there. Just getting a little bit of sink here at the moment, so coming up on the thrust and back on the yoke as well. Doing our best to stay on the profile. And again, you can see the speed rolling off there, so having to come up on the thrust again. And getting a little bit low here, but again, that's okay for this particular challenge. This is probably about the attitude and the profile we want at the moment anyway. Nicely on the centre line at the moment. Just doing our best to keep the aircraft on the centre line. So coming back off the thrust, flaring the aircraft. A little bit long from the touchdown zone there. Here's touchdown. And this is where the landing challenge starts to get really tricky. The aircraft is so strange in terms of its ground handling behaviour. The rudder responds in a very vague fashion. It also doesn't seem to have too much authority over the aircraft's general directional control. It might look like we're doing a fairly decent job of staying on the centre line here, and this was certainly my best attempt thus far. Anyway, bring the aircraft to a stop. As you can see, that particular landing was good enough for 1.315 million points. Not a bad score, but certainly a little bit lower than I generally like to achieve during these videos. Anyway, in terms of our landing precision, we landed a little bit long there, as you can see, 203 feet. I certainly had better landings in terms of precision and smoothness, but again, 39 foot on the ground roll was the best that I could achieve throughout any of my attempts. And landing smoothness, as I said, not too bad. at the time of recording, that particular score was good enough to put us at the number 10 spot on the global leaderboard. Usually I would be very happy with a number 10 spot, but in this particular case, again, I just wasn't very happy with the landing. I think the score could have been better in theory, but I'd just had enough at that point of attempting any landings in the default 747. Nonetheless, it did make for an interesting landing challenge in its own way. It's certainly quite different from what I'm used to, so it was nice trying to work around the issues. As always, I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. If you have any comments or questions for me, please leave those down in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. As always, a huge thank you to my channel members and patrons for all of your support. And to all of you, wherever you are and whatever you're up to, I hope you have a great day. Take good care, everybody, and I will see you all again soon.